Hi everybody, my name is Lisa and my presentation is on the Stenberg brothers, Georgii and Vladimir. Vladimir was the oldest of the Stenberg brothers. He was born on April 4th, 1899 and he died on May 1st, 1982 at the age of 83. 18 months later, Georgii was born on October 7th, 1900 and he died on October 15th, 1933 when he was hit by a truck on his motorcycle right after his 33rd birthday. Fun fact for everyone, my brother and I are also 18 months apart, and our birthdays are just a few days off from the Stenberg brothers. Both Vladimir and Georgii were Soviet artists and designers from Moscow, Russia. Along with designing, they practiced a range of media, including sculpture, architecture, and clothing. They first studied engineering before switching gears and attending the Stroganov School of Applied Arts from 1912 to 1917. At the school, the Stenbergs and the other students designed decorations and posters for the first May Day celebration, and they founded the Society of Young Artists. The Stenberg brothers participated in the Society's exhibitions in 1919, 1920, 1921, and 1923. They were at their prime during the revolutionary period of politics and artistic experimentation in Russia, and then there was a shift from illustrator as creator to constructor as creator. And what that means is instead of creating things from scratch, the designers would take pieces of things like images or things from other artists and reassemble them in a new way that wasn't at all about realism. The key aspects of the Stenberg's works include distortion of perspective, elements of data, photo montage, exaggerated scale, a sense of movement, and a dynamic use of color and typography. This is the first poster that the Stenberg brothers ever designed. It's called The Eyes of Love. It was made in 1923 for a movie of the same name. It's one of the Stenberg brothers' only posters with their signature as Sten, as you can see near the bottom right corner. At first, when they thought they weren't going to be commissioned much, they became more popular after designing their third poster, and they started using their signature 2 Stenberg 2, which is seen on all of their pieces past the third one. This poster uses broad strokes of contrasting hues to create vibration and movement. The bright hue of the yellow circle stands out against the dark black hue of the background. The black background of the poster is signature to the Stenberg brothers because their posters almost always have black backgrounds. This poster is called The Man from the Forest. It was made in 1928 by Georgii Stenberg. It uses bold colors and a secondary color palette because the woman is bright green, the man that's standing is purple, and the man's face in the corner is orange. Most of the Stenberg's posters use stills from the actual movies that they were for. They had a special projector that they would use to overlay the stills from the movie and draw them, so all of their posters are actually hand-drawn, even though they don't look like it. This also made it easier for them to distort the faces or bodies if they wanted to. As mentioned in the first slide, the Stenberg brothers like to use exaggerated scale in their posters. In this one, the woman's face is extremely large and the man's face layered on top has way smaller proportions than the woman's, and the entire body of the man that's standing is smaller than the woman's face. The Stenbergs use mostly close-up women's faces for their posters, with the exception of their first one. As mentioned in the last slide, the signature near the bottom right corner now says 2 Stenberg 2 instead of just Sten. This poster is called A Decent Life, and I included it because it's unmistakably similar to the poster that I showed on the last slide. The similarities are a dividing line down the page with the woman on one side and the man on the other, a close-up of the woman's face with a smaller man's face, and almost the exact same color palette except there's no orange. I think that this shows an example of the Stenberg brothers' poster style because they like to use bold contrasting colors, and most of their posters have a man and a woman and a split down the page. This is a poster for a movie called A Woman in Paris. The poster was made in 1927, even though the movie already came out in 1923. It's been described as exquisite and unusual because of the two photos on either side merging together with the angled lines. The credits that are written in the angled line shape the woman's face by following her jawline, and they lead up to the man, which also kind of frames her face. The two sides contrast because the left is in color, but the right is in kind of a grayscale. They're connected by the use of the same shade of yellow in the title and the lamplight. In the bottom right, there are 2 signatures because this poster was done by the Stenbergs in collaboration with Wroblewski. This is the set design for the play The Yellow Jacket. I couldn't find many examples or details about the sets that they had designed, but I wanted to include this one. It was made by the Stenberg brothers in collaboration with Maidanieski, I think, in 1922. The curtain in the back is made from vertical wood moldings, and that when they're divided, they open and recede back to form a semicircle that serves as the background for the play. The wood wasn't painted, instead it had colored beams of light shown on it to correspond with the different scenes in the play. The stage was constructed with the thought of the aerobatic movements of the actors in mind, and the Stenberg brothers wanted their design to have an illusion of reality instead of a stage set. These are some of the Stenberg brothers' sculptures that I found. I couldn't find any individual names, but it looks like they're from a series called Spatial Constructions. I think some of them are from the 1920s or 30s, but I couldn't find many dates on them either. Their sculptures were almost always resembling bridges or cranes, which combines their early engineering skills with their constructivism artistic style. The sculptures were made out of wood, and then they were spray painted black, silver, or gold to look like different metals to connect them to industrialism. They're abstract and not grandiose like some of the other sculptures from the constructivism period, and the one all the way on the right is actually a picture of the one that was reconstructed out of aluminum in 1977. This is the end of my presentation. Hope you learned something.